Good morning and welcome to the TMS Book Club. My name is Sewela Langeni from Book Circle Capital. We're an independent bookshop that focuses on African literature. And today I'm deeply honored to have a conversation with Shafinaaz Hassim, who is an author, a poet, and a sociologist by profession. And today we are here talking about her new book, Darlings of Durban. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching the show and it's exciting to be here with your book club.
This is her 15th title and I congratulate you on that.
Thank
Give
you
us
so
maybe
much.
a brief intro of what this book is about.
Well, it's been a lot of fun writing it. I'll tell you, I've always enjoyed being in Durban because there's something special about the place. And all of my previous novels and the young adult series have delved into Joburg. I've really gotten to know Joburg as an adult. So to write about Durban was a special project. I had a lot of fun. Besides the city being part of this experience and a character in a way, it's different from anything I've done before.
Yeah.
It was real fun. It's based on these four women friends and the life that they navigate around what happens, the complexity of relationships and how we come together. The sisterhood means so much to every one of us. It speaks to us. And I think this is something we learned out of pandemic survival, a coping skill, is the WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
So Darlings is what they call their WhatsApp group. And they commiserate and they commemorate and they celebrate on this group.
Yeah.
And they really stick out for each other and they hold each other together.
And I was curious about Durban because the title says Darlings of Durban, and I wondered why the specific choice of Durban, the city.
I think it was always brewing in the back of my head because so my maternal grandmother lives in Durban.
Yeah.
She's very special to me. She's the eldest of 12 siblings and she's only one of 3 of them left. So whenever I'm in Durban, I'm in my creative vibe, I suppose. It's the best that I can be, I feel. I feel that energy of the ocean, of my grandmother, and this is where I wrote the book. And it was unbelievable that, this story kind of just grew out of it, and the themes of sisterhood and Durban melded together so well for me as a commemoration of my visits out there.
Wonderful. And it's a key city for most South Africans, even if you don't stay there, but it's a city that you want to visit.
Absolutely.
And I guess in your writing, you transport us there.
You know what I love about a city, wherever I've traveled locally or in the world, is that once you get out on the streets and you walk the city, you really get a feel of it.
Yeah.
It's humbling to be part of the city. And South Africa doesn't allow us a lot of that opportunity because we're always rushing somewhere in our cars. We don't have a full grid for transportation. Well, that was before Uber, I suppose.
Yes.
And we're not really out on the streets.
Yeah.
When you travel, when you're in a city that's not your own, where you don't have your routine, I think you really get the smells, the flavors, the taste, the sounds, and the people.
Yeah.
And that needed to be captured in story. So the city is very much part of the characterization as well.
Wonderful. So I wondered, how did this then project come about? Is it something that you've always had in mind? Only then you had time the previous year to then pen it down. How was it born?
I think, writing is a very organic process. And we're just, as writers, we're just an instrument. Yeah. I'm not the creator. There's not this omniscience of this is what I'm doing.
I get you.
So my very first book was Daughters Are Diamonds, which was actually my thesis for sociology, which I completed in 2003.
Yeah.
But it was published by 2007. And it engaged audiences within the academy. I taught a course based on the book. But I already knew, I was blogging by then, and I already knew that stories would develop from this. I must say, as much as we give pomp and glory to the academic work, fiction is more difficult. You're forming a social contract with your reader, and you must authenticate your material, but at the same time, there's multi-dimensions because here you're creating these characters that must stand up in front of you. You're not just reporting back on what you've seen and observed and tested in data. You're saying, these are characters that must be able to, walk through the cities. Yeah. And can you say, are they believable enough?
People to see themselves in it. That
Absolutely.
authenticity.
Can you identify? Can you feel them? Can you really taste this and that about the city and the food and the people?
Sure. So this, you've in the 15 titles that you've had, there's been work where there's hybrid with publishing. There's been work where it was independent. This is through Kwela Books NB. How has this been like the experience?
It's been a very satisfying journey. I started off very experimentally. So my thesis was published because the Sunday Tribune had a manuscript competition 20
Wow.
years ago, and I just sent it in and I thought, well, let's see what they say. And there was a sort of hybrid process where they involve you directly in funding and in the whole decision-making process, which is a very big learning experience.
It is, yeah.
And from there, I developed my own publishing company called first Word Fire and then Word Flute Press. And, you know, I published other authors as well as my own work, which was in the form of short stories, poetry.
Yeah.
And then my novels. My work on domestic violence became a novel called Sofia, which
Yes,
you're familiar with.
I am.
My work on human trafficking was The Economics of Love and Happiness, which I think you've got some copies.
Yes, we do.
And this generated conversation in a different way because I was writing specifically about traditional communities and particularly about Muslim women in South Africa. This has always been the trajectory of my work.
Yeah.
And even in the Nisa Kama series, which focuses on young adults, I have a young 10-year-old girl growing up in Joburg experiencing very similar social dimensions to any other 10-year-old in South Africa. But I wanted those nuances to be in place.
Yes.
Because we don't have material like that.
Yes.
And I wanted that not just to be for young Muslim readers, but for everyone in South Africa and beyond to say, this is a window into this world, which is not that different after all.
Yeah. What do you want readers to take away from the Darlings of Durban, which I think is a little bit more broader than what you've done before?
Yes.
Because of the profile of the women groups, that the group of women that are in this Darlings group.
I think as a writer, you're processing life, not just as a researcher that I am, but as a human being, you're processing life, not just facts and data, and you're bringing that out into your story. And with Darlings, it flowed easier from back then, because I feel like I've come more into myself as a writer, and I feel like I have continuous attitude towards my writing.
Wonderful.
And I hope that shows out in the fun that I've had with this book and in the way that I've presented these characters.
Yeah. Exciting, exciting. So you've had it here on the Darlings of Durban. I've had a conversation with Shafinaaz Hassim. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching. Get your copy of Darlings of Durban. We have copies here at Book Circle Capital, and there'll be copies nationwide in good bookstores. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.